In the worlds before Monkey, primal chaos reigned.
You lot don't laugh. That's only half of the order as well. When a company says to you, we'll send you some free tools for you to review, what do? You look at that gift hole straight in the gob, don't you? But before you go, hear me out. Now, I've been doing this for years, and these squares aren't cheap. Basically, lock up that square to say 30mm, 25mm, 10mm, and then draw a line. Except that square's so accurate, the line is going to be actually probably 0.25mm on the wrong side of centre. I saw these squares and I thought, in for a penny, in for a pound, and that actually might solve that. So, but before we get into that, it's no test without making sure you've got parallel square, a square board, to be referencing from, to make sure everything's true and perfect. Because these tools, if I say they're shit, they are shit. If I say they're good, they're good. I make sure these things are square because they will not figure into my life if they're not good, period. I mean, you can probably tell that from the tools I've got around the workshop. Anyone that doesn't know to check for square, make sure you measure across the diagonal from corner to corner, and make sure the measurements are exactly the same.
Check square.
This was absolutely 100% perfect. Off the bat, I was pissed off with this. No 0.5mm pencil and no lead for my pencil. Story of my life. Anyhow, that's probably, I'd imagine, because I'm reviewing the tool, so I don't know, but I would have expected to receive that too, because it's a little bit difficult without a 0.5mm mechanical pencil, because no other pencil is going to fit in there, even with the pencil sharpener I use, which is a German brand. It's called Cum, spelled with a K. Anyway, it basically has two holes, and it puts a really long sharp point on your pencil. And the second hole is to really fine tune it. Sorry. When will I grow up? Anyway, this precision square out of the box did not come set up perfectly. It wasn't zeroed out,
Check square.
I'm just measuring the distance between those two parallel lines that I just scribed with a normal pencil on the outside of that ruler. And it's way out. It wasn't apparent at the time, certainly I didn't see it straight away, but one of those brass knobs was loose, so that whole ruler was moving around in the fence. With both those knobs cranked down and nice and tight, the ruler just seats into position and it then is perfectly square, which was good news. So I had a lot of hope for this. But check this feature out. This is gold. Now, if China made G-spots, there you go, ladies. There's a Father's Day present if I've ever seen one. And even better, this ruler's got a channel to every hole you want. And of course, the 300mm and the shorter square, make sure they're square out of the box. And they were lovely and square out of the box. My only concern about these two squares is they're a little bit light on weight.
Check square.
Bunny, I'm not complaining. That's the only square that doesn't want to balance out on the edge, which is a key feature for me. That's square keeping itself where it is.
Check square.
And the measurements start from 0 from the inside of the fence of both these squares, which is sweet. For you guys that still live your life one fraction at a time, I'm afraid these are not available to you. Why I asked for this next gift is because of these angle finders, basically. Bacho one I found is to be the best, pretty much because of the mechanism at the bottom. It doesn't interfere with any of your work. If you want to flip it, it's all good. But this really fancy, expensive one, I absolutely hate the mechanism, and it for the opposite reason of the Bacho, and also it interferes when you want to flip it over. Off the bat, I feel like I've been sold a lemon. I've got some weird looking bit of bone that isn't even a pencil. At least they could have coloured it in, for fuck's sake. But this for me was the selling point. If this square existed without the increments, and I could pick any angle I like and lock it off and know I'm not going to have this problem with these fucking angle finders, which drives me nuts. You just have to tap the damn things and it'll be half a mil out. Well, that's going to make a massive difference to your joinery. Off the bat, offered up the ruler, and I could see that there was a concave to this fence. So that would mean if
check square,
both those two end corners weren't registering off the workpiece, it isn't going to be square. I double checked that with a square I can trust and know is square. I can see straight away then, but I'm going to be in trouble there. This is iPhone footage. It grossly over exaggerates everything, colour, size and everything, but you can see they're not parallel.
In the bin.
Now I'm going to include this too, because this is one of those squares I've wanted for an eternity. That for me, really, a T-square of this size, an application especially looking at the other brands, was an absolute fucking luxury. It's just you can do without it. You can manage other ways. This will span half the width of a 8x4 sheet of ply MDF, further than that, so you can easily run a line down the middle of a sheet of ply of MDF. I always find if money's an issue, you've got to think to yourself, well, if I go with a biggest option, at least I can go smaller. If I go with a smaller option, I can't go bigger, and it's just like buying a Festal Domino 700 or girly version. Yeah, I can imagine some of you guys with a keen eye of shouting at the screen going, what the yeah. I wasn't paying much attention that day, obviously. With that sorted out, I couldn't help but wonder why those holes are on the fence. My only assumption I can make is so you can put your fingers in there and evenly put pressure on the side and butt it up against your workpiece, therefore keeping it parallel. Again, we have this lovely function, but I can use my pencil. You might not be able to use your pencil unless you got the pencil sharpener. I'm finding that a huge benefit. I always looked upon this and thought you can live without that. Now I've been doing this with 2 combination squares that you can set perfectly, sure, but when you put a pencil next to the ruler and scribe your line, you're already 0.25 mil off center. I don't know what you want to work to. I like to work between my tolerance. I mean, is 0 millimeters to 0.25 millimeters. Anything outside of that, I find you can see it, and that's what I work to. So marking out is critical in my mind. Both these T-squares out of the box weren't square. I can live with that for the price these things cost. You're buying a premium product, I'd expect it to be square out of the box. Now, I've never had a T-square before, so I'm not exactly sure how you check if it's square. I'm guessing I just drew 2 parallel lines, full length of that T-square, and then check to see if there was any difference. And there's nearly 2 mil difference over a 760 mil length. But you loosen that all off and you can set it square. It's great. But I was left with one question. WTF are those 2 holes for? You're not going to put string in it, are you? It wouldn't work. Nonetheless, very pretty looking pieces of kit, and they look nice, don't they? I'm quite pleased with them, actually. I've got to find a nice home for them all. I had these 2 bad boys chucked in for good measure as well. I quite like a square you can just throw up against something for setting, say, table saw or the planer. Bit of a shout out to Mark Dana over at Dana Made for being such a good sport, and for those people that have asked in the past, how can I support your channel? Well, it got me thinking,
Check square.
going to try and make a living out of all of this. I set up a Patreon page, and I'll leave the link below for any of you that are interested. I'll be extremely grateful to anybody that helps and supports me, basically. Try and make a living. Cheers, guys.
Check square.
Now here's the surprise. I was really shocked at this. These are premium squares, right? I think I paid 160 for them way back when. These squares from Banggood, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Forget the savings, but you've actually got 4 more squares. I'll leave some links below.